Hello, adventurers, and welcome to Roll for Bluff, our talk show where we discuss our ongoing Dungeons & Dragons campaign, Bards and Nobles. I am Sam. I play Calmine, the Tiefling Roguelock, in our campaign. Ooh. To my right, we have Tristan, who plays Soren Thunderfist, our Goliath Barbarian. To my left, we have Brandon, who plays every single one of our NPCs, as well as our Dungeon Master.
Hello.
They'll be joining me tonight as my co-hosts, as well as my pallbearers, in this episode titled... Mourningful Morning.
I hate you so much.
It's so sad. But such a good name title.
This was a sad episode.
So this was like...
We put the fun in funeral.
Yeah.
Last episode ended sad. This episode was just sad. But hey, there are bright parts to it.
Yeah. So
yeah, Robin Bond.
So at the end of our last session, we had defeated Yangu, but unfortunately 2 of our members had kicked the bucket. But through means not of their own volition, they were brought back to life. Do you want to talk about Zeke real quick?
So Zeke's character, Leon, unfortunately had fallen in order to keep who she deemed as worthy of her life, Shalik, the individual inside of Leon's curse mark he'd had for years and years and years and years, traded her own existence to give Zeke enough energy to stay alive. So he didn't get back up to full or anything. It's not like he got magically healed back to more health points than he could, but he was stabilized and his soul returned to his body. Which was good for him.
Because he's not dead.
He's not dead.
Right.
However, that changed something for him.
It did. It eliminated his... I mean, to the good part of this, he only had one level in Sorcerer.
But yeah, that
it eliminated that and gave him the... Because I'm not that evil. This is a lot... This is... I think the table's pretty much first actual campaign. So I'm not going to be... pure sadistic. Yeah, next campaign though. If you guys multi-class and something like that happens, you're going back down to that level and you're going to work your way back up. But he's still level 9 like the rest of the group.
Yes,
yeah.
You had phrased it with he had been using the magic as little as possible. He was still mainly acting like a rogue, so you allowed him to take that level that he lost in sorcery as a rogue level.
Yes.
Correct. So he is he's currently a level 9 rogue.
Yes. So Zeke was the first to go down and die, and the second one was Soren.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that briefly, or
He died.
He died. And then Cal, who had kind of known about Jeroen's little magic cigar.
And to the same credit, Francesca the Paladin, was also made to promise the same thing.
So Cal called Jeroen over, and Jeroen used...
He didn't even come over. He was like,
He used this magical cigar to basically trade lives.
Yep, pretty much.
Trade health.
It's trade health. But Soren was at 0. And Jeroen had... almost all of his.
Yeah, about 100.
So,
Now, can you tell us where the cigar came from, or is that still going to be a plot point in the future?
I mean, other cigars like that exist, so...
Right, well...
I'm not going to tell you exactly where he got it from. Right?
Okay, because Francesca had mentioned he had found it pretty much on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other cigars like that exist.
Right.
Okay.
So so you can't tell us too much.
Nope.
So, the... session now sort of started with Zeke and Tristan's characters both waking up.
To everyone just sobbing their eyes out.
Yeah.
The sounds of crying awakening.
And you realized pretty quickly that your father was dead.
Yeah, because you had Francesca crying, so it was like, oh, there's Leon. He is crying. There's Francesca. She's crying.
What? That's not dad.
That's not crying. That's dead.
Dead dad.
Dead dad.
At one point, Cal was like gonna try to eat Jeroen's flesh, so Cal had somebody put manacles on her.
Francesca.
Yeah.
Well, you had to make a wisdom save first
to see successful on that.
Because it was one of those things like mentally you're like, all right, I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you're going to see how powerful your will could
Your
do.
will, for once, was strong enough.
I know.
Now, you nat 20'd that, didn't you?
Yes, thank God.
Yeah,
was that going to be the only thing that saved her?
No, I was going to give her a little bit of a little bit of leeway, but the nat 20 would seal the deal. A certain
Okay.
range would have been you would have not been able to speak, and you would have just walked over there.
Yeah.
Just like
Another one, you
I got-
just ran.
I got really lucky with that.
You did.
But yeah, so I had them put manacles on Cal, tie her up.
You were hog-tied.
Hogtied. And then as we're sort of like in this area, we had Lyran take the seed.
Yeah, because we were getting ready to leave. Like, because Soren had picked up Jeroen.
Yeah.
Jubilee, who was still with us, picked
Carried
you.
Cal, yeah.
And before we left, Soren was like, before we leave, Lyran, plant the seed. And
Yeah,
everyone was
well,
like,
In
what?
reality, it'd be more before we leave.
Well, at this point, by the time he had picked him up, like, he is upset, but he was more angry at his own dad. We're like, you idiot, why would you do this? You have a whole clan to lead. Stop trying to save yourself. So, like, he's like, he appeared more stoic. Like, he was sobbing at one point, but at this point,
It's those
he's
quiet tears.
Yeah, so, like, he has his dad, like, fireman carried, and it's just like, Lyran, we have to plant the seed. And no one else remembered at first what I was talking about.
No, I knew what you were talking about. I was just
Well,
laughing.
I know.
because you said
Zeke
plant
had
the
no
seed.
idea.
Yeah,
Zeke was
Zeke had
like,
no idea.
like the second we were like, oh yeah, the seed from that, and he was like, I forgot about that.
So we had Lyran plant that.
As a reminder, this is the seed from the tree being that we had run into on the way over, who had told us that the land was essentially being infected and destroyed, and he was the last of his kind at the moment. And if we defeat the evil, plant the seed at the source and top of everything to hopefully start regaining
Yeah.
the
The natural forestation and the growth of the ancient beings.
yes.
We'll see how well that goes
Yeah, we'll see.
when you guys come back one day.
So as we were leaving, we start hearing this sound, and we look and we realize it's one of the airships.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
there was 2 airships that hovered, and we could hear. I assume was it through like thaumaturgy, like someone had to, because we heard like an announcement, like a megaphone.
Yeah. Oh, and there's also different ways to throw voice. There's spells that you can do that with.
Right. And I was saying is I assumed it was some kind of spell. It was like, Stormbreakers, come out! And we're like, ah, crap.
It's like every police officer's like, come out with your hands up.
Yeah. It
We're
wound
the
up
Crown's
being
Guard.
wound up being the Crown's Guard, who had us get on the ship with them.
You guys are at first were like, are we gonna have to fight more people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really thought.
At first we thought it.
I thought it was the Casmes that we had seen before, and I was gonna be like, "Oh hell no!
We about to all die real quick.
Permanently.
Just like not gonna be happy about that.
Right.
at
So they had
all.
arrived and they were like, "We've been looking for you. We've been evacuating people." And then we noticed that all of a sudden, all the gnolls were like, "Bye."
Yeah. So they wound up taking us back down to where everybody else was.
Mhm.
And who do we want to? We ran into Marshall first, right?
When we got down to the base.
You also, on the way down though,
Mhm.
you asked.
Oh, about the child dragon that we were
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for. And he was like, "Yeah, we have him. He's being tended to medical wise. He's not conscious. You guys can check on him later."
Yeah.
And you were like, was there someone with him?
Yeah, I was trying to find out if Adam was with him, and he was like, he's
About that.
dead.
So that is.
the orc you were looking for.
He was not.
Is dead.
He was not French.
He was German.
He was German. He was saying the orc you were looking for. He is dead. So yeah, he's not
Dead.
French. The orc you were looking for. He is dead. No. Yeah. He. So that's a bing number 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So we ran into Marshall, who basically was like, "Well, now that you've solved my problem, get out."
We weren't even in his civilization.
No, you were outside, but he was pretty much saying like you're not welcome back inside
Yeah.
because the Crown's Guard are here.
Yeah,
They
more
don't
or
know
less.
that I am here.
Exactly.
But he did leave a brief reminder to clear out the demon issue in the caves.
He
and
wanted
to,
a specific room emptied.
Yeah,
Yes.
to clean Jubilee's pond.
Which we promised we would do out of kindness of Himsha.
Yeah.
And this is where we turned around and realized that Jubilee is gone.
He's gone.
He
Yeah,
drops
Jubilee-
you on the
he
ground.
dropped
He
me
was
on the ground
like,
and
goodbye.
Yeah, see you at my pond. I got bigger issues.
Did you have to roll for like a stealth check?
Yes,
Just
I rolled. I rolled once, and he whoop.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
he must have rolled pretty high because you made it sound like he was just like
I mean,
Yes.
that bugbear stealth, though.
Yeah.
Bugbear stealth plus your monk.
Plus monk,
Yeah.
yeah. So he just
And then...
disengage.
Who came next?
After that, after Marshall approached, you guys kind of split up.
Oh, no, didn't Poe come over?
Yeah, no, Poe came over.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much that happened. So many people, like,
yeah.
on my end, writing down all the NPCs that were like, I was
Mm.
keeping track of like who talked to who about what. Oh, it's a nightmare. It's just note for any other DM. Plan out. I thought I planned enough. Plan 3 times more. If you have this many NPCs after a major event, plan 3 times more than you think you're gonna need.
Yeah.
Because you never know who's gonna go talk to who about what.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, because this is where we because I dropped Jaroon off with the Goliaths who had come
Correct.
over and told them to go over to the giant.
Because on the way down, you did see
The giant
that the
was
female
holding-
stone giant was dead.
and his
Yeah.
and her mate was
Hold her.
holding her.
And then
so-
also on the way down, we saw a Gromtag.
They're on Tag's body.
And when Poe came over, he kind of confirmed that for us.
Mhm.
Poe also asked us about Yengu's soul, which we were like,
We definitely didn't.
we didn't know what happened with that.
It just happened.
half of us were dead.
And then Poe Cal had mentioned something about wanting to eat dead bodies, and Poe was like, well, that's
From the
interesting.
ground.
And then was nice enough to, like, flicker in the forehead and remove that madness garbage. What did he do anyway? Was that like a remove curse or like a yeah?
The whole thing was hilarious because I just imagined Cal like on the ground, hog-tied, just like yeah, I want to eat the faces. Oh god.
The first time I had to do this.
So that was a nice relief because then Cal didn't have to be hogtied anymore.
And one of you still has that curse on you.
Yep.
You
Wait.
just
I thought he was rid of it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had him. get
Yeah,
rid of
you
it.
had him. He
Oh,
was
that's
rid of
right.
it,
Yeah, but at that point he hadn't. But then later,
Yeah, you had him do it.
I was thinking in the story of events.
Yeah.
Okay,
He knew
at
he
this
eventually
moment,
got
yeah.
rid of it.
Yeah, at this point, Cal got rid of her madness, but Leon still had his. But he was fine at the moment because nobody had.
No one's
anger.
trying to start a fight.
Yeah.
Right.
So then I'm trying to like there was so much that happened last.
Then
episode.
you guys, you went through. They lined up all the bodies. Devin came over to you.
We had met Devin before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was holding his shoulder.
His arm was like barely connected to the rest of his body, and we're like, we need to find a way to fix that.
And they was like, I'm going to try and help, I guess.
Yeah, so we were able to kind of bandage it together, but there was nobody really nearby that could sort
Everyone had used like
heal that.
NPCs.
Healing,
and
everyone had used their healing spells. You had to wait like a little bit of time before someone could heal it. But the other issue is that he pointed out is that there was necrotic infection on the top and bottom.
Right. So I'm assuming that would have to be dealt with.
Yeah, eventually it was
Good
going
old
to be.
cleric would probably be helpful.
So
After that, you guys went through and all the bodies were
That's where
lined up.
that's where they started
Right.
like stationing the bodies of those who had passed away.
And you guys went from one to another, and you started with
Gromtag.
Gromtag.
And
Yeah.
of course, this is where it was like, does anyone want to say any words? And then no one said anything.
And
Yeah.
Poe was like, because Poe and Gromtag were like the besties, because they were both loners. And Poe was like, here, Gromtag wrote this for you, Lyran. And it was The Adventures of Chansey Brew with
And
Lyran.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a moment where there was like no one had anything to say because we had interacted with him enough, but not like we weren't like
Best,
pals.
you guys had
Yeah.
gone on any adventures, but he was useful and he helped you like figure out
right.
where things
So
were.
and this is where Sorn kind of like it was like, well, someone should say something. And he like winged a little like well, Gromtag is an ally. He was full of surprises. He clearly was a good person, and the world may temporarily be afraid that or be happy that a demon hunter is as prolific as Gromtag is gone, but they're going to be fucking scared because he's going to inspire a lot more people, and they're going to be pissed.
They're gonna come through and care. I mean, you guys are technically you guys are already demon hunters, but you guys are just as inspired. I mean, technically, you guys are gonna be like, if we see a demon, we're gonna kill it.
Right.
Cal, literally, your subclass.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Demonic Tormentor.
So then after Gromtag, we moved on. Did we stop
It
with
was
this?
Adam.
It was
Adam.
Adam next.
And Adam was kind of alone.
He didn't have anyone with him.
Didn't have anyone with him. So, but he had some, interesting
he had all
items
those weapons and
on
stuff
him,
like that.
some sort of ornate stuff. So Cal did an investigation check.
Because Soren wanted to see if there was something to contact the Tower
Tower
of
Worms.
Yes.
Because he thought it was like, well, if he got, the kid back, he was going to have to, like, I've got him, we're coming back. Or, where is the city now so we can meet you?
Right.
And unfortunately, we didn't find anything that would contact it.
But we did find something very interesting.
An interesting thing.
Many interesting things.
So-
a deck of many, to be precise,
You
which
big
Cal
babies.
rolled high enough to know exactly what that was. And Cal was like, that's kind of a nope.
And as players, we were like, oh, God, no.
You big babies.
Well, and it was one of those things where the second you were, like, you rolled that high, and you rolled, I think, a percentage die to see how likely we were to find something like that. And you're like, you pull out what looks like an ordinary deck of cards, and that was all it took. Me knowing that it sounded like you rolled percentile dice, the sigh that you did afterwards, and then an ordinary deck of cards. I went, this is the deck of many things.
Yeah, it's kind of what I...
I gotta say, you big babies.
I have no reason to pick it up.
I gave you the deck of many things. People in the comments, let us know if they should have kept the deck of many or left it where they left it.
Don't get me wrong, the deck of many things is pretty interesting, and if I was playing a different character, I probably would have taken it.
It's worth a whole bunch of money anyway.
Which was my thought.
But we have a bunch of freaking dum-dums in our group, and one of those dum-dums would have drawn one of those no-no cards. And
I drew the void.
Yeah, exactly. And Cal was like, it's fine. We'll just leave this here. It can stay there. That's good.
You also saw a dagger on him that Lamb was like,
that looks
Liam
shiny.
was like, shiny.
I want that.
Yeah. And then, so he wound up taking the dagger. I wound up taking
Well,
his
that
money.
was later, because Soren wasn't going to let anyone
That's right,
grave
yeah,
rob
yeah.
at this point.
Well, I took the
You
money.
mean she technically did grab you took enough money to like bring you back a little bit back into like having some money.
Yeah, until I gave it away.
Well, we'll get to that. So next, after that, you went to the
female giant.
female giant, and you had a talk with the male.
And he was set for just revenge on everything. He was ready to leave his kids and just be like, I'll get vengeance for my meat.
I'll kill all the rocks.
And Soren was like, hold up real quick.
Hold up.
And he tried to, like, as a child that just lost his father, worry about your kids first and foremost. Raise them, tell them stories of their mother, and when they are of age, maybe then do it as a family to be the rock hunters. But make sure that you raise them first and foremost and develop that family dynamic.
All I can think about is like Supernatural, saving people, hunting things, the family business.
Yeah, a little bit, but these
Now it's just for giant birds.
Just
Yeah,
for
just
rocks.
Gargantuan birds.
and it was one of those things where I think as Soren, it was like, yeah, don't be a Jaroon, don't wait so long with a mission versus family. It's like take care of them first.
Which is kind of good growth for Soren. I mean, good growth is also like good healing.
Yeah.
So you can impart like the wisdom that Jaroon should have done.
Right. I mean, because it's one of those things where, like, even if Soren and Jaroon never had a relationship develop, like, let's say, for example, Soren never went back to the Badlands that we've done. If he was in this situation, he still probably would have told the same thing, just coming from a different spot. Would have like, well, my father, abandoned me, essentially. Don't do that to your kids. It's not right. And whereas this one was touch more for, it's like, hey, don't let it happen too late. Do it now.
Which is they're completely different messages. Same end goal.
Yes.
Same with the kids, completely different messages, which
Yeah.
is good.
Right.
So after that, you walked over to probably the saddest.
Right, and this is where they had a pyre built for Jaroon, and all the Goliaths had circled. And when we got there, they decided to walk away. They were like, okay, we'll give, Soren and his group their last goodbyes. But Soren was like, nah, come back.
We're doing this as a whole unit.
Yep. And of course, Soren's speech time. Always Soren's speech time. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's the big mouth. And he was pretty much like, take what you've learned from Jaroon's actions here, take that home. Thuthiya, is the next in line. She is a great leader. She will, there's a reason she kept Jaroon in place. And try to learn from everything, evolve, don't stay the same way as all Goliaths have been. And take care of each other as well as we are. There's a reason that we're big Goliaths. Use it to our advantage to help others that may need it, especially living so close to a place like Sonderheim.
Right.
We've seen the evil that's been there.
Right.
And then that's where Soren then lit the pyre, and ancestors, accept this great warrior amongst you.
And then you saw they did.
Yep.
Yep.
In the smoke that rises. It was all I could think about was like a Lion King moment.
I knew it. I knew it. There's more things than just a Lion King.
I
It
know,
was
but
the Lion King moment.
It's just the first thing that comes to mind. 'Cause
Remember who you are.
Hit camel for me.
Wait a minute. And then was this when the other thing happened?
No.
That was later?
That was later.
Okay.
This is where we went and then talked to... No, Postman... This is where we went to bed shortly. And the next day we did more stuff.
No, there was more stuff.
Well.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We talked to the postman.
He said he's gonna go around. He's gonna go back down south, but he'll stop through Sonderheim to deliver a letter to your mother.
Right.
But he was like, before. Actually, I'll have the Goliaths do that and ask for some paper.
And then he gave you magical pen and paper.
Yep.
Yeah. He asked us where we had planned on going, and we briefly discussed going to Selden.
Right.
And then, before we even went to bed...
You were approached by the leader of the...
Oh, the boy had woken up.
Yep.
Or he was starting to wake up.
And then you went over and you tried to talk to him, and he was spouting off madness.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Which, it was one of those things where we were led to believe that Mephisto...
Mephistopheles.
I always do that. I
It's
know.
no Mephisto.
Not in
His
D&D.
new name is Mephisto. It's
That's a
D&D canon.
Completely different thing.
Yes, they're the two different demon lords. Just one's not canon D&D.
Mephistopheles.
From what we can gather, at least for me, is that he tried to steal him away from Yengu to serve his own purposes, because that's what Mephistopheles does.
Well, the other people do the hard work of getting the thing and just takes what he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And instilled some kind of madness and prophecy and
information into the brain, and then you did something.
Real dumb.
Real Soren.
real Soren.
Real Soren.
Yep.
Interchangeable.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and lay it down.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where he was still in human form, and Soren couldn't stand seeing a child tied to a bed, thrashing and everything like that. So he cut the ones holding his hands to try and and that's when
He did his dragon thing and spit acid.
Yep.
Which then melted through the rest of his restraints. And
not the rest of it. He was still attached by his leg.
a little bit. Yeah, it was melting through them though.
Yeah.
And then also the rest of the ship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's a 30-foot line, so in a tiny room outside the back, immediately through all the commotion of him screaming and doing that, came back in and was like,
What the hell?
"What are you doing?" And then go to sleep.
Fortunately, you were able to get that grapple on the kid and strangle him
Yeah,
enough.
you're lucky.
That would have
Have
been unfortunate.
insane strength.
And that really pissed off Kristoff, the guard guy.
Yeah, he wasn't
and he was
happy.
like, "Get out."
Well, 'cause he at first was like, he said get out after we started arguing. He was like, I won't be yelled at in my own ship. Took everything in me not to be like, well, you just did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have gone even worse for
Real
you.
well, right.
Because now you have somebody who hates you.
And then while this was going on, Cal was with Devin was very drunk.
Yes.
And Cal kind of started drinking with Devin. Kind of was talking to him a little bit about his arm and what they could do to fix it. She'd given him money to fix one of his gauntlets or his brass knuckles, and he had said something along the lines of well, I really shouldn't go back to the capital, but that's probably where I have to go. And then Cal had gone to see if she could talk to Kristoff about giving Devin a lift back to the capital.
And you went to
Found
Kristoff's not
it
here
wasn't
right now.
Kristoff, it was another guard.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh yeah, should be able to. I'll let him know."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Score!"
Right, because I was like, "Great, cool. Devin will get back to the capital where he can get help." I gave him most of the money I'd gotten from Adam's corpse to just sort of help him fix his stuff.
You can just say from Adam.
From Adam's corpse.
We know he's dead. You can just say he gave
specifically.
it to you. Oh my god.
And then Cal had heard the commotion because Devin had passed out. Cal was chilling there. Cal
Well,
was
now
like,
before that, you also
made
were
a deal with
primed-
him to get
information.
because we had heard
Yes,
through
yes.
them that he was a war hero, and he said that he shouldn't go back to the capital. And you were like, well, you should tell me those two things. And
oh,
you guys
yeah,
made
yeah.
a deal.
We made a deal.
And then he was also like, I mean, I'm not gonna be alive for that much.
And
longer.
Cal was like, wait, how much
Oh yeah,
longer?
it was he said that he had 10 years left.
And that's
to
when
live.
Cal went, wait.
And Cal was like, you're going to have to tell me about this 10 years thing. And he was like, no, I'll do it later. And Cal was like, all right,
Deal?
shake my hand. You're going to tell me tomorrow about with the war hero thing and having only 10 years left to live. And he was like, deal.
Whatever. Good night.
Anyway, then he passed out. Cal heard the commotion with Sorn.
Now, before we go any further, this is where Leon, while I went to go see the kid, you were talking to Devin.
Leon went back to,
Leon
like I said,
and
a
Leon
lot
are both
of,
doing
a lot
other
of
things.
Yeah.
A lot of
stuff
stuff happened.
happened.
Like, it didn't seem like because he didn't go anywhere, but stuff happened.
Yeah.
Yes, because Lyran, what? She
Leon went and talked to...
I thought she just read her book.
Yeah.
She read her book, but then she was also approached by Poe.
Okay.
And Poe would talk to her and like, hey, like, Grumtag really liked you. Like, I'm sorry we got off on the wrong foot. Hopefully, like, we can work together again. Like, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to make him a
Everything-
bit more of an ally than
Yeah.
like an acquaintance that we keep running into.
He went to the one that was one that's been with you the longest, who isn't a loudmouth, who he doesn't hate, who he knows and Grumtag really liked. So went to
Yeah.
Lyran.
Right, and Leon went back to Adam's.
Corpse.
And he had very sticky fingers.
Yes, because he contemplated picking up the deck of many things.
Oh, he
too.
should have.
I honestly thought he was going to.
He
If-
should
If
have.
anything, I thought he was going to try and sell it.
You should have. There's the deck of many things right in front of your faces.
I don't disagree that selling it would have been a great idea. What I disagree with is having stupid people in the group accidentally or otherwise pull a card.
See, my thought was that Soren would have no reason to pick it up. As a player, I thought either Cal or Leon were going to pick it up.
Well, Cal knew what it was, so Cal wasn't going to open that fucking box.
So then I relied that it was going to be Leon that was
Yeah,
going to pick it up.
and that was what I was worried about. I hate to call you out like that, Zeke, but Leon was what I was worried about.
So he didn't pick up the deck of many things. However, he did switch out the dagger on Adam's chest for one of his old
Regular
rusty
ones.
ones.
Maybe had a moment with him with Adam to like since they were both like alone now.
Yeah. And he now has a fancy new dagger.
The dagger of Bahamut.
Now I know he looked at it, but can you share with us what the?
It is pretty much a dagger that does radiant damage against evil alignment.
Okay.
So it's good.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to find something that's evil alignment, and some things are neutral, but they're still
Right.
going to fight you. So it's just going
Right.
to depend.
It's like, oh, it's a demon. Well, like that's smart to use.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. So then.
Then we heard the commotion.
Because Soren slammed that door
Because
hard.
Soren slammed the door, comes out, Cal kind of meets him there, and kind of waves him over because she doesn't
What
want to
happened?
abandon him. It was like,
It's like, well, I've melted
what
half a ship.
happened? And like you kind of explain the situation with the kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cal kind of explained like, well, Devin's going back, so Devin can keep an eye on this dragon kid if they're going to take him
Right.
to the capital.
And Soren is just distrusting of, I think, like royal figures at this
The
point.
government.
Yeah.
Good.
I
So
have
he's
made
like,
you.
he's like, I don't trust that they're going to take care of
Yeah.
a dragon because it's one of those things where dragons are naturally, persecuted because they're dragons. There's a reason they live in a tower that travels. So he's like, I don't trust them to take care of a kid.
But then we had talked about trying to find the group that Rhaegorn was with because
Yes.
even if we were able to get to the kid, we had no way of finding the Tower of Worms.
Right.
But we figured, well, hey, this Dragonborn group's all looking for their parents or
Right,
whatever.
and we know at least one of them is a descendant of the council.
Right. So it would be best to try to find them, and they, last that we checked, were currently in Selbin.
And that's when
So-
you guys are like, where are they? Where are we? Know we are going somewhere. And then some pigeon went, "Grr, grr, Selbin, grr,
Right.
grr."
And we were like, oh, yeah.
The magical D&D pigeon.
Thank you. So we kind of had started to form a plan. We'd send Devin, and we were going to try to get Francesca as well to go to the capital to heal Devin and keep an eye on the Dragon Kid and keep us up to date. And while we went to Selbin to take care of a couple of different
Some
things, as well as try to find Rhaegorn and the Dragonborn group, so that way when we got to the capital, we could help the kid get back home. So after sort of setting this plan up, I think that was everything that happened at night.
Yes.
Right.
And then you guys all went to sleep.
So we went to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
woke up the next day. Everybody was sort of like getting ready to head out and leave.
Leave. You found Francesca staring at where the sun
should be.
Right.
And that's when you approached and was like, "Hey."
No, that happened after.
Was it?
Because first, Kristoff came.
Yeah.
Kristoff came first to talk to Cal about taking Devin back to the Capitol. And this is where Cal found out that Devin went...
Cal made a boo-boo.
Devin went AWOL. And had basically been in hiding, I guess, from the Crown's Guard. So Cal was like, "Oh,"
which he neglected to tell us throughout
yes,
all the time he's been with him.
So
It's not important.
you know, he was kind of, you know, she was kind of like, well, what's, you know, she's concerned about him. She was like, so what's like the penalty for this? Like thinking that they're gonna put him to death or something. And he straight up said, well, I can't really talk to you about it because you're not family or a loved one. And Cal, being Cal, was like, well, actually, Devin and I are together.
You were reluctant at first. I think it was like Leon.
It was one of those things where it's like that the dot was like dot.
And then, because I know Leon and Soren had kind of little like, maybe.
Yeah. So
and he was like, what? And Cal was like, yes, we are a couple.
we are an item. We've just been keeping it on the down low. Cal lied really well.
Oh yeah, finally,
deception with plus 12.
Yeah, I have plus 12 in my deception.
Now, if you have any excuse, if you ever fail lying, I don't want to hear about any sort of bad roll. You just that would in universe. You could roll a 2. In universe, if you mess up a lie, it was just destined to be like that.
So that went okay. He was like, okay, well, we'll make note of that, and we'll get in contact with you about that. And Cal's like, okay, at least I feel a little bit better. And then
that's what we also talked to Devin.
We went and talked to Devin, and Cal was like, so this happened, and
he was like,
I need you to start giving me answers right now.
It was more like Cal was like, okay, I need to tell you as quickly as possible, so that way if they're like, oh yeah, your girlfriend Cal said this, by the way, you're not a big dum-dum, and like, you know.
Girlfriend!
Duh! Because it was revealed to him that he was going back to the Capitol, and he was like, shit, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to go see. You're like, oh, you're going to see the king. I mean, you did this. It's going to be good. And he was like, I don't want to see my cousin.
And that's
when we were like, wait.
That's the second time everyone went, wait.
So it was revealed that Devin is cousin to the king, which if Cal would have known that ahead of time, probably wouldn't have tried to jump the gun and be like, oh yeah, we're dating, and try to help him out. Because
now that's going to be interesting for you.
God, it's going to be crazy.
So because I think you said, like, as we get closer to the kingdom, tieflings aren't exactly
You're not the best. It's the outer parts. When you get closer to the kingdom.
Right. So, you know, we kind of explained that to him, and he was kind of like, so we're together? And Cal's like, yeah, we're together.
Are we? And then he was like, are we together or are we faking it? And you were like, we're together. And the way you answered, he was like, you just need to tell me. And that's when you were like, for all intents and purposes, we're together. We're dating,
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Pinky promised and everything.
Yeah.
Pinky promise and everything.
So now you're dating.
Yeah.
Cal's got a boyfriend.
Okay, so anyway. So after that...
Well, because we also asked him one more thing, because we were all there. We asked, because Soren asked how the child dragon was going to be treated in the kingdom.
Right.
And Devin kind of assured us, it was like, no, they're cool.
Yeah.
They got dragons on the council there. And he was like, what?
Oh.
Yeah. But we did ask Devin, since he was going to be there anyway, to keep an eye on the kid and just sort of, you know, keep updated with that, just to make sure the kid was safe. Then the rest of you guys were like, oh, let's give Cal and Devin the moment alone. And then Cal asked about the war hero thing, to which Devin was like, oh, I was undercover with this warring nation.
And I went and I just killed the other king.
Right. And then she asked about the only 10 years left to live thing, and he was like, I'll tell you when you get to the Capitol. Which...
Fair.
Cop out.
I guess.
Cop out.
I mean, to be fair, you did sell them to literally the government.
To be fair, if he would have told me sooner that he was on the run from the government, Cal would not have offered that.
To be fair, he was drunk.
To be fair, so was I.
To be fair, a lot of communication skills were not implemented.
No.
So a lot of state like trains and stations were like, meow.
Right. So
That was Francesca.
that was that. After that, we went and talked to before that, Cal made a big display to make sure that she hugged Devin in public, and
That's when you heard everyone going like, "You owe me $10, you owe me money."
And I did that because it's like, whoa, now the demon's dead. We can reveal that we've been together all along. So then we went and talked to Francesca,
who was sitting on her own, looking up where the sun was.
She was not a happy camper.
She is not a happy camper.
And we kind of convinced her to also go to the Capitol to keep an eye on Devin and the
kid.
the Dragonborn kid.
You got like so many layers. Like the kid's on his own, and Devin's watching the kid, and then Francesca's watching Devin and the kid, and then someone else is gonna watch Francesca, Devin, and the kid.
No, it stops at Francesca.
I'm so sorry. The postman's gonna go watch it.
And the guards are gonna watch everyone.
So you walked over and had some talks, and you were talking to you also like about the deities,
Right, because everyone was talking to her, like asking the favor, like, hope you're okay, we're sorry for your loss, we know you were friends with Jeroen. But it was very evident that she was angry at the gods.
She was angry at Helios.
She was angry at Helios for letting, that normal trope of, like, how can any god let this kind of terrible stuff happen? And, Soren tried to talk to her about it. And she was like, I appreciate you talking to me, and I understand where you're coming from. But we have different gods that have different ideals. And
we have completely different ways if we do it. I'm a holy warrior. You are a warrior that has a faith.
Right. And Soren, and it wasn't like they were mad at each other.
No.
I think it was like, and Soren was like, you're right. We have very vastly different gods. He just try and the gods have us do weird things, and it's not always explained. Just try, and especially when she was because she said like Helios is silent now. It's like, well, maybe sometimes we have to interpret the silence as something different than what we think it is. And she was kind of like, I'll try to think about that. Like, thank you for talking to me.
She also showed that her holy reliquary that she threw and left at the top of the mountain
is back.
Yeah.
Now the question is, did she go back and get it, or did the Helios go, put that back on?
Helios went, no. You ain't getting away that easy.
Right.
It's like, he's quiet, but making me wear the right clothes. Jeez, Mom.
Don't want to go to my party. Not in that outfit, you're not.
Let's see, what happened after that?
Then after that, everyone left. They pretty much...
I had the note, and that's where I went and talked to Kikyo.
Yep.
That's where you
So that's where I gave her the note, and was like, here, take this to Mom. I gave her my Yikwa to give to Karn, and then Soren was, because of Karn.
You went out on a limb.
Yep.
You tried.
And because Soren has no idea what he's doing when it comes to girls.
And there was a 50-50 shot.
And I know
that I was going to go poorly or well, and it rolled in the 10% of a 50-50 shot. So that's the low end, that's the bad end.
Yep.
So, you just got...
Yep.
He went for a kiss, and she smacked the crap out
she
of
was
him.
like,
It was
no.
great.
Everyone was like,
great.
this tea. So, and then
Soren's just like, well, I tried.
And
That
then
was
she
fair.
said something along the lines of, next time you see me, you better have flowers.
You better have flowers and the intent to actually sit around with me for a while and not fight any demons. I'm out here.
It was quite
pressing
funny.
matters, I mean.
And so they left.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you guys were alone.
Mm-hmm.
And the marshal came over.
He was like, hi, I'm back.
Hello, yes. Go take care of what I told you to take care of. His pond is up northwest.
Well, he wanted us to take care of the demons first, and we're like, we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah.
Pond first.
Cal was like, pond first.
I'm not going back in there yet.
And then he had brought up something about, like, have you talked to Azazel yet?
Because you had gotten something where you had told him that, like, Yango
Because I'd messaged something to Azazel, like, hey, we killed Yango. It was dope. Okay.
And he was like, we need to talk.
And he was like, we need to talk. And I was like, what'd I do?
Tonight, at dusk. Oh, Dad's mad.
And that's where you were like, well, I got a message from him. He was like, yep. We'll be talking soon.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
So, after that,
you got
I think that was the last thing, right?
Next, everyone left.
Yeah, so everybody left. So then we started making our way to Jubilee's Pond.
Yes. Marshall gave you a few. He was like, I'll be here for a few more days. You have to clear it out before I leave because I want to go in there and check something, and then we're going to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you went to go see Jubilee's Pond.
Right. So we had gotten essentially directions to the pond. The pond is a big pond, so it was a little bit easier to find. But again, we pretty much knew where we were going.
Big pond full of dead gnoll bodies.
Right. So we got there, ran into Jubilee. So it wasn't hard.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
It's like it's his home.
Yeah.
It's like he lives there or something. It's strange.
Hello.
He was playing with Steve the fish.
He made a little barrier between the gross water and in the Steve's area.
Yeah.
So
we kind of were able to use our mage hands to like
and shape water.
Shape
Shape water,
water.
and pulled bodies out with the
Yeah.
ropes and everything, and because it lasts an hour. If it only lasted like a minute, ooh, that would have been bad. But shape water,
Yeah. And then at one point, Zeke tried to use the cleansing stone to cleanse the water,
Dropped
and he
it.
wound up dropping it. And then he went to go retrieve it, and he wound up slipping and falling in mud.
And then Storm was like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna."
Yeah.
And then Cal was like, "Mage hand."
Was like, guys, what are you talking about? It's not 30 pounds, make it.
Which the whole thing was.
Someone
kind of
doesn't have
dumb.
magic. His only reaction is to do it himself.
That was like the most lighthearted thing that happened.
Let me just. Oh god.
Leon was like, guys, what are you doing?
And Cal's like,
Just as a question though, would the cleansing stone have done anything to help the water at
Yeah.
all? Okay.
Definitely would have.
Well, I
It
mean,
did,
it's technically in the
technically.
water.
Yeah, it did.
But it doesn't. It has like depending on the amount.
Yeah, it takes time.
Cleaning out a little bit of dirt, easy. Cleaning out that,
We're gonna let that sit for the night.
So then, after getting all the bodies out, Jubei was like, I made the little area you can put to burn the bodies, but don't look at it, you go blind.
yeah. So we try not to get too close.
And then just
You saw a bird go.
Oil. Yeah, we used some like oil and
Leon had some oil, so he doused it a bit so that it would catch. You did precipitation.
yeah, make a little spark.
You caught everything on fire and it burnt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we kind of took the afternoon to relax. Soren did a little bit of fishing, but not to fish for Steve.
No, you had one deal, no fishing with Steve. Jubei was like, I'm going to go nap again.
Yeah.
And then you were saying you did an natured, survival and then
Yeah,
nature
did
check.
great.
And then Steve was like, oh, you're fishing, I'll help. And then pushed the fish over to you and was like,
Cannibal fish.
and you were like, what the heck?
Again, it's one of those things where Soren likes animals a great deal, especially ones that seem to be more sentient. So it was just like, thanks, Steve. This is great.
From the horse crusher.
Steve's actually an ancient eldritch being who just is super bored. Or he is
he lives at the bottom of the pond as a giant tentacle monster, but he reveals himself as a fish every so often.
He's just cursed to live in that pond and its waters.
Sounds cool.
Wouldn't that be dope?
That would be dope.
That's what it is. But yeah, so
you'll never know because I doubt you'll ever go back.
So Soren
to
did some fishing. Leon went off and did some quiet reflection and meditating. Lyrian read a book. Cal went to go talk to Azazel.
So yeah, so this is where Cal wandered into the woods a bit.
Cal straight up said, "Don't follow me. I'm gonna go talk to Azazel."
And everyone was like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna. Ring us if you need us." And Jubei came out and you guys were drinking with Jubei.
Yeah.
A little bit. And then you were catching more fish.
Yeah.
You went out.
And let's talk about that.
Yeah, so,
let's talk about that.
Cal talked to Azazel and, he popped up as a little, Azazel. So,
hey, Azazel!
And kind of told her that she was making waves, some good waves, some not so good waves, which were
many
fine.
not good.
Figured as much.
Yeah, some people were like, yeah, other people were like,
Storm and then said that all of his warlocks were going to be on a warlock conference.
The 5 of them.
It's a little
because he is
little web call, but with our notebooks or whatever.
Boom, boom, boom.
So the book opened up and
the book opened up and the pages sort of flipped out and Cal could see the other warlocks
and they're hazy yellow. You could see who they were. There were different things, but it was it's every sci-fi thing ever where they have the outlines and the color of the hologram.
Yeah, it makes me think of Avengers where he's like, I want to initiate the Avengers protocol, and all the other people are there no.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to initiate.
So
the Warlock
Azazel
protocol.
said that there in several months, about 7 months, there was going to be a big competition between patrons in which their warlocks fought each other to the death.
Which we should
blah,
mention
blah, blah.
everyone who's in this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
I'm
was-
getting there.
Okay.
And Cal was sort of like, I volunteer as tribute because Cal's mom was there. And Cal's thought process was, well, if I do it, then my mom doesn't have to. Kind of forgetting her mom's kind of a badass warlock.
Your mom was like, I also volunteer.
And Cal was like, wait a minute. No, I did it so you didn't have to. What are you talking about? And then it kind of came down to the other three. Now, the other three, one was Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
One was a mystery figure at the time, kind of a hooded figure. And the third was a little girl.
Little dwarf.
Who Azazel had already said, not you, sweetheart. You don't have to do
Yeah,
this.
you don't have to be. I just want you here so you can meet your other, the
You
warlocks.
go back to bed.
You got school in the morning. Do
And
your homework.
Cal will probably not even question that, to be honest.
Something's going on. I don't know.
So then it was between... So then Cal and Dalmine were in, and then it was between Marshall and the other warlock, whose name was Bartholomew. They rock, paper, scissors for it, which came down to Zeke and Brandon playing rock, paper, scissors, and Bartholomew won, so he was going to be in the tournament as well. So it's the three of them. And the way that the warlock competition kind of works is you can have up to a group of 5. So it will probably wind up being Cal and the Stormbreakers plus Dalmine.
Right. Now, Bartholomew, because after he was like, okay, I guess I have to do this now.
Yeah.
He removed his hood, and we found out that Bartholomew is a Yanti pureblood. Well, at least
snake.
he's a
person.
snake person.
Yeah. So that was kind of the thing. Marshall said that he would be there, but probably just watching.
He can't join
He
in.
can't join. Cal hadn't even considered the fact that Titavillis was going to be there, which on the one hand, she was like, this is my opportunity to kill him. And on the other hand, she was like,
this is his
damn
opportunity
it, I have to
kill me.
see him again.
Yeah, this opportunity, and that's when Azazel goes, don't worry,
Patrons
can't intervene. And you were like, oh.
I didn't think about that. Dalmine was like, you didn't think about that, daughter?
You're dumb. I love you, but you're dumb.
not the smartest.
It's a
my
classic making a
intelligence
deal
is not
move.
Yeah.
Classic, like, I do it. And then, I mean, you've gotten better, but I guess you drop your guard down when it's Azazel.
I think it's just more one of those things like Cal always does things with an intention, and then that intention just winds up like falling through.
My intention is to do this, find out more information. I should have waited.
So that's gonna be a thing. So at some point,
You'll get the more information from
Yeah.
Azazel on where to go,
Yeah.
when to be there.
Azazel did let Cal and Dalmine kind of talk for a moment, just because Cal hadn't seen her mom since she left from Dramic. Mom's doing good, I guess.
Mom's
Could be
back
better.
on where you grew up.
Yeah.
Or where you were for a few years before you
Yeah.
were tossed out.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
hot.
And then that was kind of it. So Cal went back to the group and was like, so I volunteered us for this thing.
It's not for a while, and everyone was like, how long do we got? Oh, we got about 7 months. Oh. I think there was like a tension in the air before you knew the time of when you said yes. Like, oh, how many months? Is it next month? Is it next month? Oh, it's over half a year. Oh, we have so much time.
We could die by then. This is great.
So-
This is
I
great. We
think-
could die by something else.
I think there's kind of like a clear plan from the Stormbreakers going forward. Go to Selbin, take care of stuff there. Go to the capital, take care of stuff there.
We forgot to mention that before the postman left, he gave us a letter for Sprout.
Yes, since we're going to Selbin, we're
And
gonna
that's
go
where
to
Sprout has been to hopefully find some stuff with an artificer to help him walk again with his brother.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we kind of have a game plan, and then after that was the end of the session.
Yeah,
and I think,
we ended with everyone sitting, eating fish, and
Drinking and having an actual nice time together under a beautiful sky in Jubei's pond.
Is that a nice time with the Jubilee?
Yes.
Is it
He's a good guy. So yeah, it actually ended nice for once, and you guys weren't on red alert or anything
I mean,
like
we're
that.
still gotta go fight some Casmies.
There's something going to be coming out of that pond.
We gotta go fight some Casmies next session, but hey,
Casby's
Hey!
coming out of the pond.
It's okay. You guys, there's enough of you.
if there's Casmies coming out of that pond, I'm gonna cry.
You guys are dead. There's guys just coming out of there. It won't stop.
So, unfortunately, tomorrow night we will not be playing our campaign. We won't have a couple of us there, but instead we're going to be doing a special one-shot, which we love our one-shots.
It's going to be called Show Your Pride, and it's actually a one shot I'm going to be running instead of the other one shot where I was a player.
Yeah.
So get ready for me to just take all how I DM a long form campaign and tear that to shreds and get ready for a one shot.
Yeah, we don't know what we're going to be playing quite yet, but we'll find out tomorrow night at the same time roughly you guys do. So we will see you then, and have a great afternoon.
Bye.